Good morning, everyone, and welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolfe. We got Nick Wright. We got some Kevin Wilds. Greg Jennings is with us this morning. We're all in a great mood. I'm excited. We got a great show on a Thursday morning. The 49ers continue to slight Jimmy G. Jameis Winston can see. Good thing he's a quarterback. And Brett Favre with some very interesting insight into Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. That is where we start the show this morning. Who knew that trading up in the first round to draft a 21-year-old quarterback out of Utah State would cause so much drama? But that's what the Packers did. And as a result, this is what the Packers would have to deal with: the possibility of losing Aaron Rodgers. The latest critique comes from Brett Favre, who said, "I think they burned a bridge that's going to be hard to overcome. At some point, it will rear its ugly head. I think Aaron will finish somewhere else. That's my gut. I guarantee you it has the wheels turning in Aaron's mind. And if that's the case, there's a chip on his shoulder towards the organization that was otherwise not there." Greg, you played with both Favre and Rodgers during your 7 seasons in Green Bay. I'm curious, what did you make of Brett Favre's comments?
I thought they were very interesting and very telling. A player who's kind of gone through something similar. And so we look at and we listen to what Brett has said. He has a relationship with Aaron Rodgers, so he's conversed with Aaron. He has kind of an inside track on what's going on in his mind without speculating, but he can speak from experience. And when you can speak from experience, you kind of know what the signs are for when things start to unravel. And I believe that this is one of the signs that Brett had that he really didn't identify even when Aaron was drafted. Because every player believes that, okay, yeah, you drafted a guy, I'm going to do my part, I'm still going to be the guy, but you never know that timetable. And for me, I don't blame the Packers here. I simply don't blame the Packers, because for a position that we consider to be the most important position on the football field within every organization, why do every team just focus on one individual at that position? I don't get it. I don't understand it. Why not plan for the future? We see so many different teams that are stacking their quarterback rooms now. The New Orleans Saints, you look at the Philadelphia Eagles have done it. So this should be the norm, and for once, players need to understand that it's about the team. If it really is about the team, then I should have someone else that can step up. I don't think this is a big issue, because Aaron will again do what he needs to do, being in a position where he's experienced this, being that guy, being drafted. I think he ends his career in Green Bay, possibly somewhere else, as Brett said, but I don't think it's a big issue right now.
You just made Packers fans very happy. Look what happened in New England. It came down to Brady and Garoppolo. They ended up shipping Garoppolo out. Nick, I'm curious, do you agree with Favre that the Packers have burned a bridge that's now going to be hard to overcome?
Of course. And listen, you don't draft a first-round quarterback to be your backup. You draft a first-round quarterback to eventually be your starter. So, of course, this means Aaron Rodgers won't end his career in Green Bay. And if we want to make the argument that the organization has to be forward-thinking, the organization has to put team ahead of individual, that's fine. But then we have to say to the organization, can you have some consistency in your decision-making? Brian Gutekunst became the general manager in January of 2018. His first major decision was not drafting Derwin James, trading out of the pick. But his second major decision was giving Aaron Rodgers 2 years early a massive contract extension, which complicates this entire process. He didn't have to do that. If he didn't give Aaron that contract extension, his contract would have expired after this most recent season. You could franchise tag him and then trade him next year for a king's ransom with no cap ramifications. Instead, Gutekunst gave him that contract extension, which is what has put them in this trick bag to begin with. One, Rodgers is unmovable for at least 2 years. Two, one of the biggest benefits of drafting a first-round quarterback is what? The first-round quarterback salary. That you can get all these other great players like the Chiefs did, like the Seahawks did, like the Eagles did, like the Rams did, like the Texans should have but neglected to supplement your young quarterback. But you can't do that when you have the highest paid quarterback on your roster there already. And for every year of Jordan Love's rookie contract until year 4, Rodgers' cap hit or dead cap hit is massive. So there is no consistency in thought here, Wilds. So this idea that this is all part of their plan, when did you hatch the plan? 96 hours ago? Because it certainly wasn't part of your plan a year or two ago when you were extending Aaron Rodgers.
See, Nick, I think it comes down to more than dollars and cents in the contracts. I feel like there's a huge emotional factor of Aaron Rodgers leaving the Packers. And we looked up quarterbacks who have been with their team for 16 years, and it's filled with legends. It starts with Bart Starr, Dan Fouts, great Patriot, Steve Grogan, Elway, Marino, Roethlisberger, Eli, and Aaron's going into his 16th year. We looked it up. We said, you know what? This kind of plays out in two ways. We call it the tale of two E's. It can play out like John Elway's career played out, where you're selected to the Pro Bowl both seasons and you win back-to-back Super Bowls. Or your last few seasons and the loyalty that you've shown a team plays out like Eli. Lost 14 of his final 20 games and loses he loses his job to Daniel Jones. So, Jenna, to me, I wish Aaron Rodgers goes out the Eli route. I don't see him going out the Eli route. I hope he goes out the Elway route. Too many E's here. My gut, though, is he ends up following great Patriot Tom Brady, ends up leaving.
Wow. All right. Well, Greg, I do want to ask you this. One of the common themes with regards to the Packers is that the team never really surrounded Aaron Rodgers with another first-round talent, right? He always had to do everything by himself. But if you do look at the guys who Green Bay took in the second round, take a look at the list. You got Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, you got Devontae Adams. That's an impressive list I'm looking at right here. Are we undervaluing how much talent the Packers have actually surrounded Aaron Rodgers with?
100%. We always will, because you're talking about a future Hall of Fame quarterback and you're looking at these receivers and you're getting them in the second and third later round. James Jones is a name that's not even on there. He was a third round guy. But you can have this argument, and I've said it, but it's not been offensively that they haven't surrounded him. It's really been defensively that they hadn't supported him to where the defense can get the ball back into his hands. Offensively, he's always had at least one great receiver and then a very good supplement receiver, with the exception of last year. But for his career, he's always had somebody to throw the ball to, and it just hasn't resulted in winning consecutive Super Bowls or multiple Super Bowls, I should say. And so I think that's where we get into this back and forth of, well, they haven't surrounded him with talent. Yeah, they actually have. They've always replenished. When Ted Thompson was in charge, he made sure he had talent around him going into every season. And then it kind of phased out a little bit there. But he also was injured a couple of those seasons, too. So to say that he hasn't had help, that's a stretch.
Well, here's what I'd say, Greg. I agree that the issue has been defense. The last decade, they haven't had a top 10 defense. I agree with you. However, when you look at that list, Greg Jennings, first name on that list, was a superstar for 3 seasons in Green Bay. You get hurt, and then they move on from you prematurely, which is something I would imagine that Aaron Rodgers did not want. Jordy Nelson, we know they moved on from him before Aaron wanted them to. Randall Cobb, they moved on from him. And then there's Devontae Adams. And while Devontae Adams is an excellent player, he has had one 1,000-yard season in his career, and he's not a top 5 receiver in football. And you look at the other great quarterbacks. He's never had a Moss Gronk. He's never had a Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne. How about Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, Jimmy Graham earlier for Breeze? What about what Patrick Mahomes has now in Hill and Kelsey? What Deshaun Watson had in DeAndre Hopkins? Like, he has had a lot of good to very good receivers. He's yet to have a Hall of Famer with him like the other great quarterbacks have. But Either way, whether they want to focus on offense, defense, or the damn kicker, don't focus on his replacement when you're coming off a 13-3 year when you made the NFC Championship game. We are not having this conversation, Jenna, if they draft D tackle in the first round. It's only because they went to go draft his replacement. That's why we're having this conversation.
All right, well, let's see if Brett Favre is right and there is a chip on Aaron Rodgers' shoulders when the season starts. Take a break.
Whether you're working from home or working on your fitness, you want what you're listening to be what you're listening to, not what your roommates, neighbors, or children are listening to. Everyone needs a great pair of wireless earbuds. But before you go dropping hundreds of dollars on a pair, you need to check out the wireless earbuds from Raycon. You already know Raycon earbuds start at about half the price of any other premium wireless earbuds on the market, and that they sound just as amazing as other top audio brands you know. Their newest model, the Everyday E25 earbuds, are their best ones yet, with 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a nice noise-isolating fit. My own pair of Raycon earbuds are better and easier to use than anything else I've tried. They're comfortable and easy to set up and work seamlessly with my devices. Having a pair of wireless earbuds is a serious game changer for me. Raycon earbuds are stylish and discreet. No dangling wires or stems to distract anyone during video calls. You've heard me talk about how the company was founded by Ray J and celebrities like J.R. Smith, my guy. They are obsessed with Raycons. Pick up a pair and see what the hype's all about. Now's the time to get the latest and greatest from Raycon. Get 15% off your order at buyraycon.com/FTF. That's buyraycon.com/FTF for 15% off Raycon wireless earbuds. Buyraycon.com/FTF.
Welcome back. Let's play a little drawing a blank. So Cam Newton's former Auburn quarterback coach, Gus Malzahn, had some kind words about the free agent, saying Cam's, quote, got something to prove. He's determined. Whoever gets him better buckle up. Nick, Gus Malzahn's comments on Cam Newton are blank.
I say they're spot on. And the more this is protracted and the longer Cam goes without a team, the angrier I get at the Panthers. Because let's not forget the genesis of this whole issue is the Panthers lying about their plans with Cam Newton and then releasing him at the worst possible date for his ability to catch on with another team. I have to believe a team like the Colts that decided they wanted to spend $25 million to upgrade their quarterback situation would have been more interested in Cam than Phillip Rivers if he was a free agent when everyone was a free agent. But the Panthers didn't do Cam the dignity the Chargers did Phillip Rivers of making their intentions clear, so he's kind of left to be a man without a country on this one. But I think Gus Malzahn is exactly right that when Cam does catch on with the team, God forbid it's the Patriots, we're going to see the best Cam Newton we've seen in a couple years, Greg.
I agree. These are 100% facts. When you look at just what has happened, number one, Cam Newton was released. In a player's mind, released is nice. He was, you were thrown away. You were cut. You were let go. You were basically told your services, your talents aren't good enough. You're not showing me what we thought you were. And so that's a disrespect to Cam because he doesn't believe that's to be the case. On top of that, now all 31 other teams have not stepped up to the plate to say that the Panthers were wrong in their decision and that Cam still does have something left and he does have the talent that will afford a team to win. He is going to be a man on fire.
Nick, I'm going with Stidham-esque. You know why? When I look around at the world, there's a favorite motto of mine. It says, be the change you want to see in the world. And we just talked about Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love, and coming up, we've got Jimmy G and Brady, and I'm not going to partake in it. I'm a Stidham guy. I'm not talking about Cam to the Patriots anymore. You want to talk about Auburn quarterbacks? Great, because I can tell you later on in that interview with Tirico, Gus Malzahn sang Stidham's praises, so it's wonderful. So I'm going Stidham-esque, and I will no longer talk about Cam and the Patriots. Thank you, Jenna. Take it away.
Oh no, hold on. I must respond to that. I'm very excited that you're a Stidham guy, because you know what a Stidham guy is a gateway drug to? Becoming a 2021 mock draft guy. Where does Trevor Lawrence falling? Who is available? Who can actually play quarterback for my team? So I'm glad you're a Stidham guy now. It walks you down the path of Daniel Jeremiah. Has this quarterback fallen to 21? Maybe we could get him. I'm excited for you, Wilds. Enjoy the journey.
Jenna?
I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to play devil's advocate. Nobody wants to bring him on right now because they don't know if he's healthy. The if is becoming a bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger word as we get closer to the start of the season. They got to wait and see, and that's the big question mark. On to the Saints' newest quarterback now, Jameis Winston, who had LASIK eye surgery back in February. Are you wondering if it took? Well, Jameis said yesterday, I can read license plates, I can read street signs, and it took, apparently. Nick, personally, I think perfect vision is overrated. Look how well I do without perfect vision, wonderfully. But Jameis Winston, Nick, with 20/20 vision is blank.
He's the same. The idea that Jameis's vision was so bad, was he colorblind? If it came out he was colorblind, then I'd be like, oh, that's noteworthy. He didn't know which jersey was which. But the idea, you don't need to be able to read the names on the jersey to know who you're supposed to throw to. Now, maybe Jameis will be better the next time we see him because of Drew Brees and Sean Payton's tutelage, because of, getting in a new franchise first time in his career. That's fine. But it's not going to be because he had LASIK surgery, Greg. That has not been his issue.
Yeah, he will be surprised now that he does have the 20/20 vision. He's going to look down at the depth chart and realize, oh, shoot, there's two quarterbacks in front of me right now. I'm with you. I'm really with you, Nick. I don't think anything changes. Hopefully he gets better, and if he does, great. But I think that's going to be his biggest notion. He's going to look down and realize he signed with the team that has two guys that they really enjoy because they paid both of them in front of them.
Jenna, I'm going to go with worth about $19 million. So before we talk about Jameis's contract, it is odd that street signs was one of the things that he said he could now see. So that was bizarre, but we'll leave that to the side for now.
That's true.
Jameis's details of Jameis's contract came out. He's making $1.1 million. He's got some incentives up there that can kick it up a bit. But I'm going to say $19 million this LASIK surgery would be worth, because then coming out of New Orleans, he can get a Teddy Bridgewater type deal, the gap being $19 million. So this LASIK surgery will turn out to be the best deal in the history of operations.
I mean, he probably didn't even know he signed for $1.1 million. Look at me. All my numbers sometimes get confused. It's the eyes. It's not the brain.
That's a good take.
On to Rob
$11 million. That's a great take, Jenna. That is a great take.
Thanks. My best takes are my inadvertent ones. On to Rob Gronkowski now. Saturday night, Gronk said, I was in a Tampa Bay Buccaneers playbook 4 weeks ago, which is problematic since he was technically still a Patriot 4 weeks ago. But Gronk has since walked it back, tweeting out last night, I was just joking around. Nick, Gronk joking about having the Bucs playbook while still technically a New England Patriot is blank.
Not a joke. I mean, come on. This is an admission. And listen, I already know I'm going to get all these Patriot truthers, one of whom I work with, who you can see on the right side of the screen right now, be like, oh no, obviously don't listen to the exact words he said. Instead, listen to his Twitter apology a couple days later. How much more evidence do you need? Brady shows up at Leftwich's house against the rules. Why? To get the playbook. Around the exact same time Rob Gronkowski gets the playbook. Like, I'm just believing what they're telling me. The idea that you could do, is this a capital crime? No. Is it against the rules? Yes. Should they be punished? Yes. Will they be punished? Of course not. But anyone that's going to be like, oh no, just Gronk being Gronk, he's just joking around. Okay, whatever. It was not a joke, Greg Jennings. He obviously has had the Bucs playbook early and was studying it.
Yeah, this is the Patriot way. You are.
Oh, come on, Greg.
We thought you were. Like, this is where he was birthed. This is what he knows. To cheat. Wilds.
Yeah.
No, this is the Patriot way. This is Gronk taking advantage of the fact that he was retired, not realizing that this is still against the rules because you're still technically, if you were to come back, with a different franchise. But yeah, this is the Patriots way. Wilds, this is what you guys do, man.
Greg, you're an honorable guy, and I just am very upset by that take, to be honest with you. First of all, Jenna, I don't know when we started to make news from the Bud Light Seltzer Drafter Party. Like, that is not a news-breaking organization. Like, this is a non-story. The only reason we're talking about this is because there's no NBA. Can we just be honest, Nick? There's no NBA. I looked it up. Last year, the Warriors took a 2-0 lead on the Rockets. If that was happening now, we would never talk about this. But because there's no basketball, there's no baseball, we're like, what's going on at the Bud Light Seltzer Drafter Party? Oh, Gronk said a joke. Let's make a story out of it. Let's get Nick Wright questioning Bill Belichick's integrity. It's just a terrible way to start the morning.
No, it's not Belichick. It has nothing to do with Belichick. Listen, first of all, I don't even
Greg is saying
blame
the Patriot
Gronk.
way.
Yeah,
but it's Brady, obviously. Brady is the one who's been suspended for cheating. Brady is the one who went to Leftwich's house. Brady is the one, I would imagine, who supplied Gronk the playbook. Listen, man,
So,
all I can do is read the facts on the ground. And in Wild's long explanation, Jenna, here's what I didn't hear. A denial. I heard, oh, this is what happened in the NBA on this date last year. The hell does that matter? At no point did I hear a denial from Kevin Wildes. I just heard,
Can I give
let's
a
look
quick
over
take?
here.
I'm not going to be wrong
Sleight
about
of hand.
Quick take. You can take Gronk out of New England, but you can't take the New England way out of Gronk. I will just leave it at that.
There you go, Jenna.
On to
Thank
Washington
you.
now.
What's happening?
There you go. I know, I'm way too close to Nick. They spent the second overall pick on former Ohio State defensive end number 2, Chase Young. NFL restrictions won't allow him to wear his Buckeyes number 2. So he added like 97 to it. And he is now wearing number 99 as a Washington Redskin. 4 current Hall of Famers have worn 99 during their playing days, with J.J. Watt on the way. Nick, Chase Young's decision to wear 99 in Washington is blank.
It's perfect as Jenna's math. Wow, you got there quick. I'm proud of you, Jenna Wolfe.
It's because I'm wearing glasses, James Winston.
Watt, there you go. J.J. Watt wears 99. Aaron Donald wears 99. 2 more future Hall of Famers to go along with Warren Sapp wore it, Jason Taylor wore it, just to name a few. I love it. You usually see the 99 as far as the great defensive player, more interior guys. I like that it's an edge rusher. I love it. I think it's perfect for him, Greg Jennings.
Yeah, he's about to give every tackle that he goes up against 99 problems. And he,
yeah. Oh, good one, Greg.
And when I look at his ability and what he can do, he might be a 99 that is hoisting Defensive Player of the Year in his rookie season. This is a special kid. I love it.
Wow.
Wear that 99 proud, boss.
Wow, Greg, the Jay-Z reference totally makes up for the terrible Gronkowski take. So fantastic job by you. I'm going to go with flexible, Jenna. Not only because I thought it was a flex to be like, hey, by the way, I'm also a future Hall of Famer, but also because flexible because they're going to have to buy multiple jerseys because he's going to keep growing. Because a few days ago, he said he's going to continue to grow just like his parents. So I'm going flexible.
All right, feel like he'll be able to afford it. We are going to take a break. Time now for our rewarding performance, sponsored by Capital One Venture Card. What's in your wallet? So, warm weather Tom might be letting loose down in Tampa. Get this, though. There is a real chance that Tom Brady could have been a 49er this offseason, with head coach Kyle Shanahan continuing to throw gas on the fire with his latest comments. When you hear that stuff, he said, it actually is realistic. For you not to look into it, to me, would be completely irresponsible. Nick, you surprised the Niners continue to talk about how they considered replacing Jimmy Garoppolo with Tom Brady?
This is so dumb. I can't believe Lynch and Shanahan are just admitting to the world, yeah, we had to seriously consider getting rid of our 28-year-old for a 43-year-old, because who wouldn't? Well, I'll tell you who wouldn't. The Chiefs wouldn't, the Seahawks wouldn't, the Texans wouldn't, the Packers wouldn't. Well, the Packers, who knows at this point? The Saints wouldn't. You want me to keep going? Philly didn't. Dallas didn't. The Titans could have, and they chose Ryan Tannehill over him. Like, you know who does think about bringing in Tom Brady? Teams that don't like their quarterback, because he's 43 years old, coming off the worst year of his career. And if you're going to have these discussions privately, so be it. To admit them publicly is lunacy. And the only possible explanation is they want Jimmy G to be more motivated or know he's on the clock. He should be at peak motivation anyway, since he had the game-winning Super Bowl pass in his hand and he overthrew it by 7 yards. But also, he knows that he needs to upgrade a level or two to get them to where they want to be. I don't understand at all, Wilds, why they are publicly giving these flowers to Tom Brady at the expense of their quarterback. It's just baffling to me.
Yeah, I don't get it at all. We had George Kittle on the show, and George Kittle sang Jimmy G's praises and talked about how great the team was and how great their chemistry was. The guy's a winner. He's 23-6 in his starts. Yeah, he threw 8 passes. What do you want him to do? He got you to the Super Bowl. I feel like that 8 passes thing is constantly brought up and used to knock Jimmy G. It's like, but in any other sport, he would be viewed as a guy that was doing what it took to win. I think this is lunacy, Jenna. I don't know why they just don't throw their support 100% behind Jimmy G and never talk about anything else besides Jimmy G's our guy.
Greg, what do you think? Is this something or nothing? Why are the Niners still talking about this?
Well, it's nothing. It's truly nothing. But when you're a young kid and your name is Tom Brady and you've grown up in the Bay Area and your idol was Joe Montana and your favorite team was the San Francisco 49ers, and then you have this illustrious Hall of Fame career and you come available, I would think that they would be smart enough to at least throw that out there to their fans, to those who are supporting them, to let them know, you know what, we did have interest in Tom Brady. It just, for some reason, didn't work out. So it's nothing. This was them doing their due diligence and making sure their fans are at ease with the fact that Tom Brady was available and we didn't even try.
Niner fans, I know you don't like this story, but don't take my word for it. Let's just listen to what your head coach had to say about your quarterback in comparison to what he had to say about Tom Brady. Here is a Kyle Shanahan quote from this same interview about Jimmy Garoppolo. He had some ups and downs, but I think he finished the second half of the year playing so much better than the first half. Didn't have to do a lot in the playoffs, but I can't wait to get back where he's not worrying about his ACL all offseason either. He's just grinding film, getting ready for the season. Hopefully he learned a lot from last year. That was on his quarterback. Here is Kyle Shanahan on Tom Brady. We had to seriously discuss and decide whether to go forward where it could come close or not. If you would have asked us right after the Super Bowl, I mean, Tom Brady, everyone knows what Tom Brady is, how unbelievable he's been. But if you asked us right after the Super Bowl, it's unheard of. It's a pipe dream. You don't really think about it. I mean, guys, he is looking for other options. Like, this is clear. There's a dozen teams that aren't. Go ahead, Jenna.
a lot of that was tone. You really put a lot of emphasis into Kyle Shanahan's comments and not so much emphasis when he was talking about Tom Brady. I know, because I get in trouble with my texting oftentimes that my tone is off. But Greg, you're a former player. We're talking about Jimmy Garoppolo now, and he might have felt slighted with all of this. Like, why are we so worried about how these athletes feel? I mean, did you feel as sensitive? Like, are we so worried about Carson Wentz or Aaron Rodgers? Well, how are they going to feel that they brought someone else in? As a former player, if you were in Jimmy Garoppolo's position, would you feel slighted? Would you feel motivated? Would you be like, who cares? It's my job. Here I am. I'm going to go play football. Tell me what would be in your head.
I think it would be a culmination of both emotions. You would feel a little slighted, a little disrespected that they would even consider it, being that you feel like I am one of the main reasons why we got to where we were last year at a Super Bowl contending team. But then at the same point, in the same breath, you're like, well, the teams are going to always do their due diligence. Now, me being on this side of it, I look at it completely different. A receiver, a running back, a defensive lineman, a cornerback, all these different positions, we look at more than just one individual. We want teams to have depth. But at the most important position, you better not consider looking at another quarterback. I don't get it. If teams are really built on sustaining success, then why not make sure or ensure that in case something were to happen to my most important, most valuable asset, I have something else that we can insert that doesn't derail us as a franchise or where we're headed in this specific season. I don't understand it. So I don't mind teams looking at multiple quarterbacks. Nick,
Greg,
I know you don't. I know you don't agree.
Well, Greg, I got a question for you. We were talking about a story when you were getting older and guys were talking trash to you, and you said that it actually got in your head. And can you describe how at different points in your career you were ironclad in your confidence and at other times it wavered? Because I think what we're all confused about is the amount of confidence that Jimmy G has. Does he need to be built up, or is he so secure that nothing can affect him?
Well, first, let me touch on what you said about myself. So I was running a route, beat a DB, or I had a step on him, but he looked at me and he was like, oh, man, you're losing the step. This was right after my abdominal surgery when I came back my last year in Green Bay. And it had me thinking like, man, did I really lose a step? Now I'm older. You start thinking a little bit different. But in Jimmy Garoppolo's case, he's a young quarterback that understands and trust and believe. He understands that he could have played a lot better than what he did last year, specifically in the most important game. And so when you listen to your head coach say all the things that Nick just read to us about what he didn't do because we didn't rely on him because we had such a great running game, that does start to play with you a little bit. And you start to read the clippings. You start to listen to those things. I don't care how young you are. Yes, sometimes you can buzz through that. But when you're a quarterback and you hear that we've gotten to where we were and it really had nothing to do with you, you just kind of held us together, you don't like hearing those types of comments.
All right, a couple things just quickly before we move on. Greg, the reason I was making the face during your comments is they would not have been bringing in Tom Brady to compete with Jimmy Garoppolo. They talked about getting rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. It's not we're bringing in Brady in case Garoppolo gets hurt. He would be taking his job. It's not Jordan Love or Jalen Hurts. It would be, you're gone now. We're trading you away. That's what would have happened. And this is simple. Like, guys, the Niners, in a sport where the career expectancy is 4.5 years, consider replacing a guy with someone who is 15 years older than him. The only reason you do that is if you think deep down your quarterback's not good enough. It is, Niner fans got mad at me all year, all playoff run. Jimmy G's better than you think, Nick. Well, then he must also be better than your coach and GM think. because they had multiple conversations that they have now both referenced saying, we considered replacing a 28-year-old with the oldest quarterback in the history of the league. That is the lead of the story. Everything else is just noise.
The oldest, but also the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. I think you need to put, yeah, I think Wilds is right. You got to kind of squish all those words together. All right, it is time for some stories to start your morning this morning, sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve. So amid trade rumors, Browns GM Andrew Berry said Odell Beckham is, quote, a long-term member of the organization. Nick, you expect Odell to have a bounce-back season out in Cleveland?
Oh, I do, and I expect him to be in Cleveland. I mean, we have to listen. When you say trade rumors, we've got to do a fair accounting of it. On one side of the ledger, we have the Browns head coach, GM, Odell, and anyone associated with the team saying it's total nonsense. On the other side of the ledger, we have the Moose from the fan in New York saying he knows that there was an offer. So I don't know who to believe in this one, guys. I do know he's going to be continually tarred with this, that we're just going to continue to say a year from now, when Odell has a good year and people want to talk about him again, they're going to be like, well, remember last year he was involved in some type of trade speculation. That's how it'll be phrased, and it'll just be added to his jacket of alleged misdeeds. Yeah, I think he's going to be awesome for the Browns. I think the Browns are going to have a bounce-back year, and he's their best offensive player, Wild. So, yeah, I expect good things from Odell this year.
There's nothing I want more than these two things. One, I want Odell to have a great year with Kevin Stefanski and Baker. Two, I want the Moose to break some huge story that Nick has to cover, and shout out the Moose. So shout out to the Moose. You're doing a great job. Don't believe what Nick Wright is saying.
Greg?
I love that Andrew Berry shot this down. When your general manager comes out and you sing praises about a really good receiver that you know you have to give an opportunity to play under the tutelage of Kevin Stefanski in this new offense, hopefully that we see. You owe it not only to Odell, but you owe it to your organization and you owe it to your fans. So I love the fact that he came out and he just shot it down.
Here's your little path. Maybe the Vikings wanted to see what Odell was like in New York. He called the Giants. Moose is affiliated with the Giants. He covers the team. I gave a little tiny path so there could be a little modicum of truth, perhaps, just to boost Moose up just a little bit more. All right, let's move on to the Philadelphia Eagles now. When they drafted Oklahoma quarterback Jalen Hurts in the second round, you got to believe it made Carson Wentz fans a little uncomfortable. And apparently talking to Wentz about Hurts made Eagles GM Howie Roseman a little uncomfortable as well. See, GMs are just like us regular people. We all have awkward conversations. Greg, do you expect some uncomfortable tension between Wentz and Hurts?
No, I don't. When you look at Jalen Hurts, his resume, his track record, he's handled situations like this better than what we've seen a lot of veteran quarterbacks in the National Football League handle situations like this, where his job has been taken on the largest scale, the biggest platform in college sports. And so I think Jalen Hurts is going to come in with a huge amount of humility and ready to learn from a guy like Carson Wentz. So they'll be just fine.
Nick, is there truth serum in the water? Like, what is happening? I feel like all these GMs and coaches, when you make an acquisition, Bill Belichick has told you what to do. This is what you say. Hey, what was it like when you talked to Carson Wentz? This is what you say. It's a private conversation. And then you stone-face, private conversation. You don't get into it. I don't know why people are just spilling their guts about every acquisition they're trying to make and whose feelings are getting hurt.
Wild, I'll take it a step further. He needed to say something different to Carson Wentz. How do these people not know how to communicate an effective message, even if it's a lie? Like, you know, I'll play act this for you. I'm Howie Roseman. Carson Wentz walks in my office. You drafted a quarterback with the second-round pick? Carson. When he's announced at the draft, they say quarterback, but that's not how he's going to be used. He's going to be used as an H-back. He's going to be used as a slot receiver. He's going to be used as a two-point conversion specialist. Quarterback, it's positionless football, Carson. That's not the point. We are always forward-thinking. We are always trying to put ourselves in the best position to succeed. This isn't about if you're going to get hurt. I believe you're never going to miss another game until you've hoisted multiple Lombardi trophies. This isn't about planning for a contingency or the future. This is about having you and Jalen on the field at the same time, having two great athletes who can throw, run, and catch, and having defenses deal with that. That's what this is about, Carson. Instead, Howie Roseman's like, yeah, could we have drafted a guy who helps the team more this year? Yes, but we have to protect ourselves for the future. The hell is wrong with you people? Just lie. You're allowed to lie. There's no law against lying. I don't understand what these people are doing.
First of all, there is a law against lying. It's called perjury. There's laws against lying, first of all.
He wasn't under deposition, you doofus, and it wasn't in a court of law. There's no law against lying to Carson Wentz via a Zoom call. There's no perjury charge coming, I promise. Jenna?
All right, moving on to the Texans. Hey, maybe Andrew Berry was lying, Nick. You don't know. Deshaun Watson was asked to name his two favorite teammates of all time, going with DeAndre Hopkins and Tyrann Mathieu. For those of you without a roster in front of you, neither of those guys are with the Texans anymore. Hey, Greg, was this Deshaun sending a message to Bill O'Brien and the Texans, perhaps?
Man, Deshaun Watson is gone after this contract. Deshaun Watson wants no parts of Bill O'Brien. Like, if Bill O'Brien remains in that role as GM, head coach, they have no shot, in my opinion, of retaining Deshaun Watson, which is unfortunate because he's a great player as we know it, and he could be a future Hall of Famer.
Look, Nick, I guess you wanted him to lie. If these were his two favorite guys, you want him to lie and say the two current guys that Bill O'Brien just drafted. What do you want Deshaun Watson to do in this case?
Well, I actually will defend Deshaun Watson in this enormously. First of all, quick note. Underrated move by Bill O'Brien right when he took over the GM job for the Texans. Granted, he didn't have the title. Letting Tyrann Mathieu walk for nothing. On behalf of the Kansas City Chiefs, thank you, Bill O'Brien. I appreciate it. But to this question specifically, I actually think this was smart of Deshaun. I think it was premeditated of Deshaun. I think the reason he didn't mention J.J. Watt or any of his current teammates is because he didn't want them to get traded or released. He's like, I better not mention I like anybody other than my coach. If I say a name, it's going to be next on his list. So let me just say, guys, he's already gotten rid of like a doofus, and the rest of my teammates will be safe. So I don't think it was a shot at any of his current teammates. I think he was trying to protect them from the Mad King Bill O'Brien. So I doff my cap to you, Deshaun Watson. I think it was very smart.
Mad King.
All right, let's move on to Nick's favorite player in the league, past or present. Taysom Hill. Here we go. If you're wondering where to take him in your fantasy draft, if you are wondering, how about not as your quarterback? Because now he's got tight end flex eligibility and will no longer be quarterback eligible in the fantasy draft. Nick, how can they say your favorite quarterback isn't a quarterback?
Listen, I like Taysom Hill. People think I don't like him for various reasons, some of which are nefarious. I like him fine. But despite what I was saying about advocating lying, what I like more is truth and honesty. And he ain't a quarterback. You know he ain't a quarterback. Everyone knows he ain't a quarterback. And now Yahoo Fantasy or ESPN Fantasy is telling us he ain't a quarterback. We haven't done one of these in a long time. Can we do a blind reveal, please? Taysom Hill's passing profile against the passing profile of someone else. And they have one thing in common. And by the way, that's not a mohawk for Taysom Hill. That's the top of the fleur-de-lis. I know it looks like a mohawk. Can we show the person on the right who has completed more passes for a higher completion percentage and with a touchdown? It is the Rams punter, Johnny Hecker. You know what Johnny Hecker and Taysom Hill have in common? Both not quarterbacks. So, don't list Johnny Hecker on your fantasy quarterback depth chart either, Kevin Wildes.
Look, if you're in a deep fantasy league, I think Taysom Hill is a great player to pick up. I, for the record, Greg Jennings, advocate truth at all times, unlike Nick.
Yeah, when I look at Taysom Hill, I don't think he cares what you list him as. I mean, you got a quarterback or a tight end hybrid, whatever you want to call him, running down on special teams, covering kicks. He just wants to be on the field of play so he can impact the game. And those are the types of players that any coach would want to have.
Here's the thing. And again, I'm not anti-Taysom Hill. I have said all 32 teams would want a Taysom Hill on their roster. The Eagles might have just spent a second-round pick on a Taysom Hill in Jalen Hurts. I'm against Bruce Gradkowski. I think it was Bruce Gradkowski. I don't want to get it wrong. The former BYU player who said he's a rich man's Lamar Jackson. I'm against people saying he's Steve Young 2.0. It's nonsense. It's just utter and complete insanity. What Steve Young 2.0 is what he's been called. Jay Glazer, our friend Jay Glazer, said on Colin Cowherd's show 6 months ago, the quarterback of the future in New Orleans is Taysom Hill. It's insanity. He's completed 6 more passes than I have. He's a 30-year-old specialist. It's what he is. Just be honest, America, unless you're a GM talking to the media or your quarterback, in which case lie all you want.
Of course. So to recap, you're pro-player Taysom Hill, you're anti-quarterback Taysom Hill. So let's just make sure we got that
correct.
Right. All right.
Thank you, Jenna.
We are going to end with a comeback story. You got it. Anytime you need. I got your back. Our friends over at Fox Bet currently have Ben Roethlisberger as the favorite to win comeback player of the year this season, with Gronk right there behind him. Greg, start with you. Who do you see taking home the honors this season?
Oh, man, I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's Ben Roethlisberger. If he can stay healthy, they just got him another receiver, another weapon. James Conner is coming on. You got Juju Smith-Schuster. All the pieces are in place for Ben Roethlisberger to come on and have a great season this year. I don't see how, if there were any other player, Gronkowski, potentially, but he has a lot of other talented guys that Tom Brady's going to be getting the ball to.
Nick, we had this story in the show yesterday and floated it. Gronk was 1 and Big Ben was 2. Now they flip-flopped, and I don't know why, because we know that Gronk's had the playbook and he's been studying. I would think his odds would actually get better rather than worse.
Well, listen, Big Ben, that's a great point, Wiles. That's a great point by you that Gronk's odds should have gotten better. Big Ben, the favorite, by the way, to win 2 awards this year, evidently, Comeback Player of the Year and Biggest Loser. So props to him for that. However, I would say there is someone not on that list who should be the favorite for Comeback Player of the Year. And I'm surprised you didn't pick him, Wildes. Thomas, Edward, Patrick, Brady. And one might say he wasn't hurt last year. Drew Brees won Comeback Player of the Year in 2004. You know what he came back from? Stinking. He wasn't hurt. He just wasn't good. Then he was good. If Brady's going to be the guy you guys say he is, Comeback Player of the Year for Tommy Brady. He's never won that award. It seems like it's right up his alley. I'm rooting for you, Tom. Comeback Player of the Year in Tampa.
That's great.
Hey, we've had this story 2 days in the show. 2 days it's been different names. Brady will be there tomorrow. We got to go. Stay safe, everyone.